Hi everyone, Tanner here. I hope you're having a good day. It's really sunny outside here. It's a long weekend. I've spent the last couple of hours outside gardening, trying not to be too intense about it, more of a light and easy gardening experience. And it's a compassionate moment for myself to do this for myself, to be at ease. And today we're going to talk about self-compassion and why I think it's vital to eliminating our neuroplastic pain symptoms. I'm going to talk about my own experience with self-compassion, how it's helped me, and I'm going to explain 3 components of self-compassion that you can start to utilize. So, let's get into it. No matter what we do, life is going to be filled with moments of suffering. Whether a tragedy happens, we're stressed out, we're dealing with difficult emotions or something difficult in our life, suffering really happens to us no matter what. And unfortunately, in this community, people who have neuroplastic pain, we tend to be really self-critical of ourselves when life gets stressful or life gets hard. Now, the problem with this is kind of a defect that most human beings have, is when life gets stressful, we start to go inward at ourselves, be critical of our emotions, the way we've responded, the mistakes we've made. And this criticism, the problem with it, if we're constantly doing it, we're causing our brain to feel in a lot of danger all the time. And then that danger signal of pain just continues to be sent. And I've experienced this. I can be really self-critical. I'm working on it. Some days are better than others. But about 2.5 years ago, I'll tell you a bit of a story here. My daughter was born, and both my children were very premature. But my daughter was born at, I think, 29 weeks. And so there was a lot of stress. It was an emergency C-section. They rushed us in there. And then you have to spend a couple of months, I think it was 2 or 3 months at the NICU. And the NICU is really stressful. It's kind of a scary place. Babies are dying sometimes. And so stress was really high in our lives. I was struggling to sleep. And what happened was the pain in my right leg came back. It was probably there for 3 or 4 weeks. And what I did, what I probably shouldn't have done, was I was very critical of myself. I was critical that I wasn't being a good enough dad to my daughter and to also my son, who was barely seeing us. And this was in the middle of COVID, so only one of us were allowed to go to the NICU at a time. And I was critical of my emotional experience, that I was stressed out about this. And then I was critical of my pain. And no matter what strategy I used, no matter what I did, my pain in my right leg wasn't going away. And I was getting kind of preoccupied about it and very critical that, I'd been pain-free for 3 or 4 years before this, and now I couldn't deal with this. I couldn't get it to go away. And this criticism was really what dragged my pain experience on for that 3 or 4 weeks, which was probably the longest time my pain had returned for. And all of a sudden, I was starting to learn about the work of Kristin Neff, who is a psychologist who does a lot of, she's kind of a self-compassion guru. And I started to utilize a compassionate lens towards myself. I got rid of the critical lens. I started to care for myself. I started to care for the experience that I was going through. And what resulted was very quickly, probably within a week or so of starting to do this, of changing the way I was responding to my pain and to my emotions. All of a sudden my pain went completely away. And so I hope this story emulates how important self-compassion can be for us. Now I want to talk about the 3 components of self-compassion that you can start to utilize in your life and that can be so beneficial, because a moment of self-compassion can of course reduce our suffering, but a string of these moments can truly change how we relate to ourselves as a human being. Fully how we relate to ourselves and how we respond to ourselves. And so that's why I'm a big component of this. So the first component of self-compassion is mindfulness. And I know mindfulness is everywhere, we hear about this, but the reason it's important is we need to be aware that we're in a moment of suffering. We need to be aware that we're struggling emotionally, that we're being critical towards ourselves. Because if we're not aware, we don't know to respond to ourselves compassionately. And that's why this is the first component. Now, we don't want to be engulfed by our emotions and lost in them, but we do need to be aware of them and learn to sit with them in our body and feel safe with them. Which I have other videos on how to feel safe with emotions, which I'll put a link to that you can check out. But that's the first component of self-compassion. Now, the second component is a concept called common humanity. Now, you've probably used common humanity as a strategy in the past without realizing it. But common humanity is the understanding that there's 7.6 billion people in the world. And yes, I check the stat now and then. And with that many people, you have to realize that any experience you've had, any struggle you've had, any difficulty you've had, no matter how unique you think it is, someone else in the world has gone through that. Probably thousands of people have gone through that. And with my NICU experience, even around me, there was people going through this, and their babies were much more premature than mine. But what happens when we start to become critical towards ourselves is we feel isolated, we feel shame, and we feel really abnormal in our experience, the way we're responding. We feel abnormal in the mistakes we made. And common humanity challenges this. It helps us understand that other people have felt like this before. They've gone through this. They've fumbled and made the same mistakes. And connecting to our common humanity helps us feel, less isolated and less abnormal in our experience. And so it's a really important concept. Now, the third component of self-compassion, and this is really what self-compassion is kind of known for, is self-kindness. And self-kindness can be done in all sorts of different ways. One thing that I love doing is small acts of kindness for yourself. They don't have to be huge acts, but even, as I started this video, I talked about going out and gardening and trying to be light and easy. Because I'm a busy guy. I'm doing stuff all the time. I'm working lots and taking care of my kids. And so this small moment where I was just doing something for me, being in the sun, relaxing, gardening in this way, it is a self-compassionate moment for myself, and a really important one that you can start doing. So the first way you can be kind to yourself is do these small moments of compassion for yourself. Now, the next piece of self-compassion or of self-kindness that you can do is even with meditation, where we're intentionally breathing in to where we feel the difficult sensations to soothe them. And it's an intentional act to care for ourselves, to breathe into it, to soothe it, and then to let it go and feel our body relax. And doing this, you can do this during meditation, but I do this throughout every day. When I'm feeling stressed, I'll take a few moments, take a few breaths, relax into it. And the other piece that I really love doing, and that is a true act of kindness for yourself, is soothing touch. So this can be as simple as putting your hand on your chest, feeling the warmth of your hand, the weight of your hand as you breathe in and out. And we know that putting your hand on your chest and leaving it there activates in your brain the same neural networks as if someone was giving you a hug. And so this is my favorite. I can even feel it right now, kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling. Now, the other thing you can do is some people like to put one hand on their stomach as they do this as well. And that works great as well. The other one is wrapping your arms around you, just giving yourself a gentle squeeze or rubbing your arms. And doing this soothing touch, even throughout the day, people won't even notice you're doing it, is a way to soothe the difficult emotions you might be feeling. Now, the last piece of self-compassion is what we call self-kindness phrases. Now, I know in the world right now, positive affirmations are a big thing, and sometimes I use them too. But the problem with positive affirmations such as I'm happy and healthy, I'm beautiful, is, they work great when your self-esteem's high. There's lots of research on this. But when your self-esteem is low, or you're not feeling good about yourself, they can actually cause us to feel worse. Saying things like, I'm happy and healthy, will cause you to just sink more emotionally. So you want to be careful with this. But the only difference between positive affirmations and self-kindness phrases, and self-kindness phrases are used as a wish. So may I be happy and healthy. May I care for myself while I'm suffering. May I be kind to myself right now. Or may I be free from fear. Saying these self-kindness phrases, and you can say them as you breathe in and exhale, is one of those small things we can do to start to change the narrative that we have towards ourselves. And so this is the third component of self-compassion. Now I encourage you all to just start to sprinkle throughout your day moments of self-compassion. They could be 20 seconds long, but I promise you, as you do this, your lens internally can change from a critical one to a compassionate one. Now for myself, it's still a long weekend. My kids are out playing right now. And so I'm going to go play with them. I'm going to relax throughout my day and just have moments where I care for myself. And I encourage you all to do the same. So please put your questions or comments down below, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to release videos every week talking about neuroplastic pain and mind-body syndrome. And I'm going to teach you how you can rewire your brain and unlearn your pain. Take care.